the archetype would likely be waifu bait and perform extremely underwhelming, just like the Rika archetype did in Secret Slayers.
I asked for Sprite and they gave me clown juice.
Mikanko is trash. Yeah, I have like no other way to put it, but Mikanko is just going to be trash. If you haven't seen my previous video about how I reviewed Mikanko, please feel free to track that in the description. I made a whole video reviewing the trends of rituals in the past few years. Furthermore, I did make a prediction in Mikanko, and guess what? Mikanko is really bad. A way to summarize this deck is that it's basically just imagine you bell, but you have a shitload of equipped spells like the Noble Knights. They have actually found a way to make rituals more horrible to play. And that's not even to add that there is only one ritual monster. Konami, what the fuck have you done to my archetype that I wanted to play? So since we're here, I'm just going to review their effects, just to prove my point that they are not very good archetype. One thing I noticed that the ritual monster is the highest rarity, so it'll be probably very easy to get a playset of the entire deck if you want to play it. So I'll be following this Reddit post. Most of the other sites have not updated with their effects yet. So I'll start off with the main deck non-effect monsters, non-ritual monsters, which are a Fire Warrior and a Water Spellcaster. This one allows you to search a Mikanko equipped spell, and this one during your opponent's turn allows you to just take control of it. But one thing you notice is that they share an effect that requires that is battle related, and they have a second effect that is reliant on an equipped card. So if you're not aware, equipped cards are generally a bad group of cards to play in Yu-Gi-Ohs because they are very easily removed using spell and trap removal, and they need to stay on the field. And the next thing is that it's generally very difficult to get a specific equipped spell into your hand. But of course, here's hoping that the further support or maybe other unknown combo will allow you to play this deck much more consistently. In terms of consistency, one thing that I have already is the ritual monster itself, because you can review it to add any Mikanko card, including any spell, trap, or monster. But you need to discount one card. Generally, judging from the other effects, you'll be discarding an equipped spell, ironically, or a main deck if non-ritual monster, because you can bring it back using either one of the ritual spell or one of the equipped spells, or you can use this ritual monster itself to bring back the equipped spell from a graveyard. It's okay, but I would prefer not to go negative in a ritual archetype. The field spell itself is entirely related to battle effects, so it's not a very good support for the deck, and it just cements that the deck is entirely focused on battle. The quick play spell allows you to special summon a Mikanko from monster from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions. As of now, I'm presuming that this is only relating. This also applies to the ritual monster, but you need to see Konami's rulings to see whether it also applies to the ritual monster, because sometimes they do say that, oh no, the ritual monster cannot be special summoned this way. But based on the PSCT, I presume that you can summon the ritual monster from your hand. There's also a graveyard effect that allows you to send any Mikanko card, so presumably either based on whatever you want at the current time, but it is spell speed 1, even though it's a quick play spell. So you can only do it during your main phase as a chain link 1. Then we start with the 3 equipped spells. The 3 equipped spells are based on different situations that you need them. One of them is a premature barrel that allows you to bring back a Mikanko monster from your hand or graveyard. And you can special summon one monster from opponent's graveyard, which allows you to start either link climbing or Xyz plays if they have just nice have a level 3, or if you brought back the ritual monster, rank 6 play. The next thing is you cannot be destroyed by card effects, but this effect is shared with the next one. It's just a bonus protection, I suppose. But once again, because it's tied to a equipped spell, generally it's not very good for protection because it can be easily be removed by spell trap removal, since it's quite prevalent by having Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster, or Twin Twister. The next equipped spell can only be equipped to a Mikanko monster, and besides the first check effect, the second effect allows you to whenever your opponent special summon a monster, you can target one monster on the field, return them to the hand. This allows you to interrupt your opponent's plays, which is great. And it's a form of removal that is not reliant on monster effects, which is a great twist, but you still run into the main problem of equipped spells in general, where you have the susceptibility to spell and trap removal. The last one is a form of removal by stealing one of your opponent's monster. So long you control a Mikanko monster, you just equip it to your opponent's monster. You can't activate its effects, so it's just like a crackdown, but you can have its continuous effects. So if it stays on the field, maybe it's like a Jinzo, or you can have like Amano. I'm not sure what good effects would be good for them generally now if they stay on the field, because a lot of cards that stay on the opponent's board nowadays is all activated effects to negate or destroy. So I'm not sure what kind of continuous effects you can steal from your opponent this way. We come down to the ritual spell itself. You cannot use pre-prep for this, because there is no named ritual monster here. But you can ritual summon any Mikanko ritual monster, but you can exceed, and you may do the following effect, which allows you to destroy your opponent's cards, based on the number of cards your opponent controls, and based on the number of equipped spells in your graveyard, and inflicting 1000 damage for each card destroyed. So it's based on the number of cards destroyed and not number of equipped spells in your graveyard. So this burn is dependent on your opponent. It's not dependent on your equipped spell. So even though you can stack up like 8, 9, 10 equipped spells in your graveyard, if your opponent only has 2-3 cards, you're only burning them that much. Which is weird because if you're going to destroy your opponent's cards, probably in this case, I would think that you'll be destroying mainly spell trap removal or any card that can negate or interrupt you during the battle phase in a way, because you do want to perform a lot of crashing apparently in this archetype based on their battle effects, which is interesting but definitely not very great, because they have so far cemented that they are a battle related archetype that is closer to like Yubel or Bloom Diva in this case. The last 2 cards they have is 2 normal traps. One is that allow you to bring back summon a Mikanko monster from your hand or deck, and equip an equipped spell from your hand or graveyard. So you can summon the one that has an effect during your opponent's turn to steal it, or you can use it on your turn to add 1 equipped spell using the Fire Warrior. But this still requires you to have an equipped spell in your hand or graveyard to begin with. But judging from the archetype, that will be quite likely to have one either in your graveyard or in your hand already. The last one is another normal trap that allows you to, if you control 1 Mikanko monster, you can target 1 monster on the field, equip it with an appropriate equipped spell. So using this, you can equip the Alloy Rondo that allows you to just steal one of your opponent's monster. And if equip spell is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card to target 1 equip spell in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So it's a form of recursion, but I'm just going to ignore this one. The main effect is probably going to be this one. Based on all these effects so far, right, you'll notice that they are revolving around battle related effects. They're based on a lot of equipped spells. So one thing that you should know that is that any archetype that is relating to either of these 2, or even both in this case, is not going to be a very good archetype, because it'll be very slow, the overall power level will be very low. They are very susceptible to a lot of forms of removal, from back row removal to monster removal. There is a lack of identity in general, so it's like they want to be a monster reliant, but then they also want to be spell trap reliant. Next thing I want to bring back is from my prediction video, where I did say that ritual archetypes in general are moving towards other forms of summoning, which is true in this case. They do have the quick play spell, but they do have general tendency to move towards battle related effects, which is a very depressing sign in this case. And I'm hoping that Konami does not move towards battle related effects in the future for ritual decks or even any other deck in general. One other thing I noticed while reviewing this is that they are all 0 attack and 0 defense. If you have been paying attention to the entire box of Amazing Defenders so far, they are all monsters that have the same attack and defense. From Rescue Ace to Fury, at least the Fury level 1 monster. And now in this case, Mikanko. So I am thinking that this box is more of a way to sell Gizmek cards more, rather than bring 3 archetypes that focus on niche ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So what's my final verdict for this archetype? I am generally quite disappointed with this archetype because it's focused on battle effects and it's focused on equip effects. Generally, it's a very difficult way to break out from these 2 kinds of effects. But there might be a way if it can be splashed with Noble Knights, or it could be splashed with Gizmex of any, or maybe any other archetype inside Rescue Ace itself. But I do not think that that would be very likely or possible to begin with. Here's me hoping once again that Konami is able to revolutionize ritual monsters or ritual archetypes in general, rather than making them, as I predicted or I explained in my previous video. Please feel free to check it out once you're done with this video. That I did mention that ritual archetypes are still pushing towards battle related effects. They are still pushing towards very slow or perhaps underpowered effects that make it be unable to compete with the meta. If you compare this effect, this type of effects, right, to let's say Fury itself is clearly much more stronger than this archetype is already, because of the special ability. You have the overall power level that is much more stronger. Even though that archetype is much more of so far what I'm thinking is protect the fortress kind of playstyle, like Bujins or whatever, where you try to stick on to one Fury and try to keep it until you can rank it up to the rank 7 one. Of course, in a few months time, maybe Konami would reveal more support and my opinion would change for this. But as of now, that doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. So I will still be buying 3 boxes of this to try it out. Maybe there could be a hidden tag that someone discovers in a few months' time that make it extremely playable or extremely meta defining. But we'll have to wait to see.